Hi everyone, Peter Zellum's Griniflix Adventure 8 and just out and about getting my exercise for the day. So today I have a bag, and in the bag are two cameras. So today's video. So one of the cameras is the monochrome, the M10-Monochrom, and I'm using the 35mm f2 Summicron lens. A vintage lens, that's one of them. The other one, can you guess what it is? It's an old Leica camera bag, or camera cover. But what's inside? It's a Leica MP black paint version. And I've got a Voigtlander 35mm f1.4 Nokton Classic lens on it as well. So both cameras are 35mm. This one, being the MP, is a film camera. So I guess today's video is what to expect. What's the differences between shooting film, similar ISO or ASA, with one camera and the monochrome. So I'm going to be comparing just the raw files that come out of the monochrome to the black and white negative files, which are then rephotographed, converted to positive, and then really for my own education and also my viewers, what to expect. We're going to have to do two videos. The first video will be just so you can see with the photos that I've taken, and then the next video I'll be able to show you the results of the two once I've rephotographed the negatives. So I'm not using any filters. A couple exercises will be associated with this. Will be using the light meter that's on the MP. So that's what I'll be gauging the situation and taking the shot, and then choosing appropriate aperture and shutter speed. The film that I'm using is, I think it's Ilford FP4, I think it is. You know, I have the details there, and that is rated at an ISO of 125. The ISO that I'll be using on the monochrome, I'll be using their 160, so there's a half a stop difference, so I'll take that into consideration. Whatever exposure I use on this, I'll take the shot, but then I'll do the same exposure, adjusting for the difference in ISO, with the monochrome as well. So we'll have a like-for-like comparison. The lenses are very similar as far as contrast and detail is concerned. I'll use the same I'll use the same aperture and adjust the shutter speed just at half a stop to account for the difference in exposure. And let's see what sort of differences there are in the two. And the character, again, it's not a like for like. It's not a case of which is sharp or which is more detail, but what do you get? And what can you do with the image that you get, from a creativity point of view and from an artistic point of view. Let's get on with the show. I think I found my first shot, and that's going to be doing a selfie pre-focus. Guess the distance about 0.7 meters, because that's the minimum focus distance. The first thing I got to do is got to get the right exposure. All right, so skin tone and a grayscale. My bag is probably not too far off that neutral grayscale for exposure reading, so I'll take exposure of this and then use that as my correct exposure. I've got a lot of light around here, so I'm going to shoot at f8 and just let's see what sort of shutter speed I'm going to have. Alright, well, this is saying 500ths of a second. I've already stuffed up my process. I was supposed to be using the film camera. Alright, let's start again. so we're going to use f8. I've already set the dial at the back of the camera at 125 ISO. That's what we're shooting. Oop, move that on. You got to watch that. Make sure those little red dots there rotate to make sure that the film's advancing. But I've already checked that I loaded the film correctly. There's resistance there and tension, so that should be all okay. I'll take an exposure reading off the bag. Okay, and I am actually getting the same exposure reading of between 500 and 250th, which explains at half stop. So this is I'm going to do 250 on this, and I'll do 500 on the monochrome. All right, so I'm going to have to reposition this to do the selfie now. Okay. The first challenge with my selfie is that I forgot the MP actually doesn't have a timer. So you have to have a cable release. And did I bring a cable release? I don't think so, because I know from past experience 0.7 meters is me stretching my finger out to the camera, and basically my finger just touching the tip of the camera there means that it's 0.7 meters from the film plane to basically my eyes. As soon as I go a bit closer, I'm just slightly out of focus, but I guess I'm shooting f8, so it should give me plenty of scope. All right, let's try this, and 500ths of a second. Here we go. That's it. We'll do the same with the monochrome digital M10, and we'll be able to see what the image is with the monochrome. We're going to have to do two videos. The first video will be just so you can see with the photos that I've taken, and then the next video I'll be able to show you the results of the two once I've rephotographed the negatives. Okay, so repeating the process now with the Leica M10-Monochrom. So I won't, with the monochrome you do have a timer, so that makes it easy, but just to repeat the process, I suppose I can do half a stop on the shutter speed, can't I? If I did 250, alright, we'll do half a stop, and that way it should be about the same. Alright, okay, stretching out my fingers and repeating the same process. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Done! Done! Right. I will review the first photograph so that I don't have too many surprises. Oh! It worked! Can you see that? Oh, you can see that. Anyway, I'll show you. Alright, so the theory, and I've got a histogram also there, so it's showing me correct exposure. It looks pretty good, so the black and white negative should be pretty good as well. My exposures are right. I'll go through this process again as I walk around and take a few more shots, then we'll have a good comparison. Anyway, I might shoot over a couple of days depending on what I get, see what I see. There's going to be one photograph, one scene. So this is the next scene, and okay, exposure. Something I learned as a wedding photographer way back when I was using film Leica cameras. If you put your palm of your hand and took an exposure off your palm so that your palm was in the same lighting conditions as your subject, in the same plane, so whether like that or whether like that, and then that would be your 18% grey on which light meters are usually calibrated. My bag, I think, is too dark, so I just took a sort of a light meter reading off my bag and a light meter reading off my palm of my hand, and there's about 1.5 stop difference. So moving forward, what I'll do is I'll use the palm of my hand as the light meter, as my plane by which to gauge the light meter, and then I'll take the shot. Okay, so off my hand, I'm getting a light meter reading of f11 at 2/50th of a second. So we'll take the shot with both cameras and we'll see. Well, I think that exposure worked out well. We'll see. Taking a meter reading off your palm is all very nice when the light is behind you, but when you're actually shooting into the light here, then you have to make some decisions as far as what to actually expose properly. If you shoot directly into the sun as I am right now, everything's going to get really underexposed, so you have to make a decision somewhere along the line. So if I take a meter reading here, what have I got? I've got f16 at 2/50th of a second, but that's going to be way overexposed. If I refocus, if I take a meter reading down here somewhere, at 1.4, so 16 is going to be way over the top. If I do 5.6, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 stops lower. So what I'll do is I'll do 125 at f8. Not much of a shot, but anyway, we'll take it anyway, since I'm running out of light. Let's take a shot with the M10-Monochrom. Okay, before I lose the light. Okay, f8, infinity, and take the shot. What have I got? I've got a silhouette. Oh wow. Oh, there's been a change of weather. I've been shooting over 2 or 3 days with this video. I'm not sure whether you can hear me, but shooting into the sun. So I'll try and get a good shot with the camera. 1 second exposure, f16. Okay, so that was a film camera. Let's try the digital now. I think the exposure's okay. I'm not sure about the shot. Oh well, it's getting cold out here. I think it's time to head home, and the light's dropping very quickly now. Nice and neat. My subject is the camera bag. Alright, so what shall I do? Let's go thousandths of a second. With today's exposure, I'm guessing f2.8 or f4. And the magic number is f4. Okay, not bad guess. So focusing on the bag and just having the background will be slightly out of focus, I suppose, at f4. Okay. So we've got a bit more of a challenging lighting condition this time. So I want to photograph the front of this old boat, the James Craig, and that mannequin at the front of the boat. So I'll have to look up what the correct terminology is for that. It will be here. My guess was f4 250, but it's actually looking at this and taking a reading off my palm like that. It was giving me a reading of 1/125th of a second shutter speed with an aperture of f4. So that's what I'll do. Or I could go, let's go 5.6 and do 60th of a second. Action. Alright. Now one with the M10-Monochrom and see what that looks like. 60th of a second. Half a stop difference because we got a high half a stop faster ISO. f5.6. 5.6 should give us a focus point there with infinity at 5.6. 5.6 will give me a focus depth of field from about 4 meters to infinity, which is fine. Okay, did we get it? And there she be. A nice location shot here by the fountain. As far as metadata is concerned, I will have metadata from the digital camera because they'll give me the shutter speed. The f-stop will vary because Lightroom has to do a calculation on that one. And yeah, so this one took 1 second exposure, f16. Well, after 4 days of riding and exercising around the local area, I'm back at the fish markets and using up the last bit of film that I've got on the camera. So it's showing 35 shots, so there should be one more shot left on here. I'll grab one of the fish markets here, right next to the water here, so I better put the strap on. So my guess here is that if I'm shooting it, let's say 2/50th of a second, it should be around 5.6 would be my guess as far as exposure is concerned. Yeah, that's exactly what it's showing, so good guess. It's nice with the reflections there. Alright, I accidentally swapped lenses on my M10-Monochrom. I've got my Irma. 5cm f3.5 on there right now. It's one of these collapsible lenses, which makes it look very nice and compact. It's a 50mm, so my framing will be a bit off, but nevertheless I'll still use the same exposure, which was, do you recall, it was 2/50th at f5.6. Alright, so we shoot just half a stop faster, so at 3/75th of a second at 5.6, and we'll reframe and take the shot. Okay, we'll have a quick review. Yep, exposure's spot on. Being a 50mm lens, I get a bit of a different perspective, a bit more reflection and etc. Alright, so that's that shot. Will there be another shot to do? It's done. I have completed 36 shots. A few duds along the way, a few corrections along the way, especially after I did a similar shot with the M10-Monochrom and then did the review, then I realized I stuffed up completely. The film I have to still put in for processing, and then we'll be able to do a comparison between the film and the digital version. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If it's the first time to my channel, please do press subscribe and press notifications so that you're subscribed, and then with notifications you'll be notified when the next video is out. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That supports the channel, helps with the YouTube algorithms. One of the next videos will be about comparing the actual shots, the film versus digital, with these two cameras. Anyway, thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thanks, bye.